You guys hear me? Whoa. This is so scuffed. My second monitor is not working. As soon as I tried to start stream, it like went black. Yeah, just a bit annoying. Is the quality okay though? Yeah, okay. Yeah, after the stream, I'm gonna have to run back to my place and get another cable or something, because this is not the move. I almost didn't even try to stream today. It's okay. It's a place. It is heat. But like I can't bring my entire setup with me, right? So it's kind of I would rather take the week off than try to do this, to be honest. But we'll give it a try. If it's awful, then you know it is what it is. I'm not gonna lose money for the sake of it. So yeah, we'll give it a try. Where are we at currently? We're at 46. Need to see if 46 will become supportive. Basically all we're looking for is can our overnight highs hold, right? If they can, then we can look for probably 56. Yeah. But until then, we're at supply on NQ. We're at resistance on ES, and we're seeing some lagging weakness. Or I guess I should say leading weakness on the Russell here, with Delta pushing down with price.
Nvidia shares climbed 3.2%.
Let's turn up the news bar.
Record intraday high.
So quiet. So yeah, there's really not much to say here until we see this Russell find a low. We've got NQ leading, right? So we have tech stocks pushing up on the market, but we are at ADR and we are at our FEG fill. So like this is supply, right? So until that becomes supportive, it's going to be really hard for me to be like, yeah, we're totally going to keep going. The things we want to see though is the Russell find a low. As soon as the Russell finds a low, ideally somewhere here would be nice, right? To maintain a higher low, where we get to keep these higher lows. We fill this imbalance that was right here. We just look to see if we can find a bounce where we maintain the previous low as supportive. If we can find a low there, then potentially something. But again, like everything's at supply and we have the Russell leading. Usually not a great sign. So until this finds a bottom, it's going to chill. But we do want to see 46 basically become supportive for any sort of more upside on ES, where we're watching for basically this to become our support. It's going to be very hard to go anywhere higher until we show that the overnight highs want to hold. We want to see buyers step in then there, or we're just at the top of our overnight balance. So again, we have tech leading, but Russell leading down. We have tech leading up, holding higher lows. It's at ADR. we need to see the Russell find a bottom and then start to go the right side of the V that we always talk about. Right, so we want to see this then make a higher low that we can then play off of to say, hey, if NQ is going to keep going and the Russell also is finding that bottom, then we can probably make a play for continuation. But we're battling for Globex high right now on ES, retesting our highs on NQ. And again, we just really want to see buyers start to step in at this 44 to 46 on ES. If let's like look at a bigger picture. God, my got a 1 bar. Hopefully connection's gonna be okay. So we see that we've been in an extended downtrend, right? And if we can hold here, this is our first real test, retesting a local seller, right? Like one of our shorter, most recent sellers. So what we're looking for is for buyers to be able to now hold here and build or push up into, I guess like this 50-54 area, just where this POC is, right? But we just want to see if we can maintain where a previous seller was positioned. And this is your first like real sign of a potential push outside of this downtrend, right? We have a basing where we've created our first higher low on ES, right? And now we're holding our overnight high where our previous sell was. So this is an important area if we're going to build here, and if we can then look to try to kind of get in on the right side of this for a potential start of a trend up. That's what we'll be watching for, is can we get a channel going kind of in this direction with the recovery of this seller here. Right, we have a really nice node to play off of, and what we're looking for is, can we build and push over the mid of this distribution? And if we can, right, then we have room up to the high of the distribution. I'll just like draw this out a bit clearer.
The Bank of England sells 799.9 million pounds of bonds in auction and receives 2 spots.
We're going to push into this, and that's going to be your first real test of resistance.
ATF gilt sale operation,
but if we can push over,
was 3.3.
Right, then we can go for the edge here. So that'll be important.
The S&P 500 energy sector hits a more than 3-week low, last down 2.84% as oil prices slide over 4%.
Holding 46s so far. Need to see how the Russell reacts here into 65.4. Is your POC before the sell. Want to see price start to build above VWAP here. Deltas look fine. Again, ideally, ES is able to now hold 44, 46, and we continue to see buyers step in here. Morning. Your test of 44s. Thanks, Tom. I need us over 46s here. Just stagnant at the highs, but all we're looking for is for this ETH high 44, 46 area to kind of become supportive. Taking a bit longer than I wanted, but you know, it is what it is. Can't have everything.
According to Xinhua, the PBOC vows to use various monetary tools to boost credit.
I'm gonna risk off one here as we retest the highs on ES. 2 left. I'd really like to see that move up into it's like 56 if we can get over 50. But I'm risking off one just in case because we are into the Russell supply, but things look fine as of right now. Moving up stops. Out one more. 500 realized. One left. Looking for a push into 56s for the final contract, but fine if we don't get it.
And the PBOC vows to promote financing costs to stabilize and decrease.
Slower high on NQ. Need to see buyers step in here ideally. We're going to go for that larger pullback down to 600s. Really want to see this like 15 area bid for NQ. Again, going back down to that 600 just makes sense. We have the Russell retesting our highs as support now. with this imbalance. I think that it's just about kind of just trying to find acceptance above VWAP now. It's our first like real look into supply on RTY. Giving it a couple of seconds to test, right? Test the waters, buy side. See if we can hold tiers. Ideal. This is the reason why I've taken off 2. I'm just leaving 1.
The PBOC are to use reserve requirement and other tools to boost credit. And the PBOC are to guide banks to accelerate OTC bond market developments.
I feel like I keep turning this guy up and his volume doesn't change. We need to see NQ be able to get over this FEG high. This is where we saw our seller, right? That first lower high. We want to see that push above and then bid after this 25, 26 on NQ. Don't want to see a strong seller here defend that position. See a push above and then a hold. If you got in at 15s, I would say this is your first risk off as we retest the high. So a quick 15 points. We look for the FEG above if we can break this high.
US stocks extend gains, Nasdaq up 1%.
Morning. I'm watching this Russell Globex high as our kind of pivot. Let us know what the market wants to do. All we've done is rotate from Globex low to Globex high. So as we come up into that, it's labeled as ETH high on the chart.
And the PBOC are to
While we're
further
watching
improve
that
opening
on the
up of
RTY
FX and
chart
financial
as our pivot.
markets.
Again, I've been looking for 56 on ES. So if that coincides with our test into Globex high on RTY, I will be a happy camper. I have one runner left from 44s. I've taken 2 off. Do you guys want me to bring back the alerts inside this chat for like when signals proc? There's like a couple, but it's just like SPX.
Improve offshore yuan liquidity supply mechanism.
I'm not about to pay for someone else's couch. Give me 1 sec. No, the signals unstacked. We had them coming in. Give me 1 sec. I'm about to kill this dog. All right, sorry about that. Like scratching like she's digging into this couch. I put like 3 blankets on top of it to try to prevent that from happening. Can't leave her alone. She hasn't eaten anything since we got here. Super stressed. Yeah, we got here on what, Thursday or Friday afternoon. She's had like a couple treats, but refuses to eat any of her food. It won me. Morning. I personally still would like to see one more leg up. We definitely are seeing a bit of weakness in tech. But I'm gonna let this try a little bit longer, seeing as we've already realized profits. You really don't want to see NQ go any lower than that. Like, I'd like to hold this FEG high. If we see acceptance back into it, then that's when you can run into issues. Or we need to do a much steeper retrace back down to like 91. Russell holding opening range high. Want to see us back over this 50.75 on ES.
So for positioning, so it's a secured overnight financing rate positioning, exceeding 100,000 options in a dovish March Fed bet. So of an upside in March options is targeting a full 25 basis point cut being priced into the March policy meeting. So the same position was bought aggressively last week for a new risk and now stands at around 125,000 lots in the structure.
Okay. Okay so far. Need to see buyers continue this momentum now on this little push. Morning, Kevin.
Taking a look at the fear and greed index, 72 out of 100 equaling greed, and the fear and greed index, 71 out of 100 also equaling greed. And looking at the VIX,
This is
currently
your
up
first real pivot test with
2.25%
Russell into
at
ETHI.
13.64.
See what happens.
Some commentary from the Bank of America, who see a March start to the Fed quantitative tightening taper announcement after Fed's Logan's comments. So Bank of America expect the Federal Reserve to announce plans to begin tapering the runoff of its Treasury holdings in March, coinciding with its first 25 basis point interest rate cut. So this is according to strategist Cabana and Craig and economist Gapin, writing in a Bank of America note.
This is taking forever. Sure. Oh, nice. Some, which one does it go off of, though? Like, if each candle is giving you a pattern, how does it take a trade? I'm out one here into 56. All I have is my average up now. Realized profit 1,175. One open. We're at our target here. So it would be risked off. Just let it play if it's going to do it. That was the move I was waiting for, though. Took forever. can't see. What is this? Oh, there we go. Again, I have one left just from the bounce that we saw at like that 48.50 area. I'm risked off full position from 44s.
Noting the Dixie down 0.26% on the session.
Well, I'm gone in an hour and a half, so yeah. Probably just go to Russell ADR, to be honest, and then we figure it out from there. All you want to see is this like 56, 57 now hold as supportive for a push up to 67s. We have our 20-day volume POC there at 67. So like if there was going to be a magnet and 57 holds, right, this 56, 57 stays bid, then you'd be looking for that 67, I think. And until we push above that, that's the top. But yeah, I'm like fully risked off here. Just a runner. That's terrible. Yeah, that's like my worst nightmare. Just an immediate L as soon as you get in the house. Laundry detergent works really well and stuff like that, but you have to get to it right away. And this entire week has just been such an L for me. Like, what is this? How does this happen to people? It's even worse because it's like the week that I'm like, hey, let's stream every fucking day. Like, what? They have to work on our gas in our neighborhood, and so we got sent out of our apartment, like our place, basically. And so I'm staying at an Airbnb for a week so that they can work on it. So the gas had to get shut off, and if the gas had to get shut off, the water had to get shut off. So I basically had to move for a week and find a place like the day of, for my dog and I. And like our larger animals, like we I had to board them all. Yeah, yeah. But like I'm on such a smaller system for work. Like I'm on one screen right now and have a phone in my hand. That's me trading right now. And it is awful. I brought a secondary screen, but the HDMI isn't working on it for some reason. It was working all of yesterday, and then I tried to launch OBS today, and then the monitor just like turned off. Like, okay, sweet. Yeah, I mean that's all. I've got the I just have a phone in my hand with Trade-of-8 and the chart open. That's what we're doing. But it's a different story when you have to narrate and draw and do everything else, because I have a monitor specifically for OBS and for streaming, a monitor for specifically for trading, and then I have a monitor specifically for Discord, like YouTube chat, all this other stuff. So it's a very different story for me compared to other people, because I have to be communicating with you guys. And now having to do that all on one screen is not fun. Messing up my flow. But yeah, Kowalski, it happened the first day it snowed, like snow stuck in probably a month. It's just super unfortunate. So I can't get back to that place until Thursday. But I found a really nice little spot back in my hometown when I was growing up. That's nice. But yeah, most of my stuff is inside my my old place still. They said that they put a notice, but no one can find it in like at all. I don't know, man. Yeah. There is no notice. They lied. It seemed like quite a bit of an emergency. From what they were saying is that there's a leak and they're tearing up the street. So it is what it is. Just not the ideal way to start your new year. Are people in this trade with me, or am I just like talking to myself, by the way? Yep. 56 was a good out. Now you just have to wait. If it holds is supportive, right? Like that's not a bad re-entry. But just like know that if it doesn't hold, we go back down to 52s, right? But all we're looking for is this 56, 57 to hold, and then we get a push, and we look for 67s. Or RTY ADR, whatever comes first. See, instead of getting stopped out of my rudder, I just added. Just didn't invalidate my stop. So like if I have a position and my average is here. And we're pushing down into our supportive trend cloud, right? And I'm looking for this to hold, and I'm looking for the Russell to hold a higher low, right? And that's our signal of like things can keep going. Then I'm going to add here because I know that I'm in profit still. So this just pushes my average up into 46, which is what we were looking for anyways. So there's no reason not to at least try. And if it invalidates, then I take an L on one contract, but I'm still positive overall from the lower low, right? From our average. So like I might lose, you know, $100 of profit on the $300 that I would make if I just had kept the 44s. But if we do hold here, I now have a pullback buy at the low. And like if we had pushed below this, then I would have exited, because I know that if we got below this level, we're going to most likely come back down to this 45, and I might as well just buy back in there. There's no reason to let that trade run down into the imbalance fill. But like as long as we're holding the equal or higher low, and the Russell is holding a higher low, there's nothing that's telling me that I need to exit that position. That's my view. Especially when I've already realized profits. So now it's just like, okay, as long as we don't go past my invalidation, I want to be adding in as soon as as close as possible to my invalidation level. Yeah, no, I feel you. It's counterintuitive, I think, for a lot of people. But like our risk is just so much lower because we've already taken profit off. So like unless we immediately push through our original entry, like there's no way we lose money on that position. Like, okay, we might lose some unrealized profits, but if like our idea is that the trend still has potential for continuation, there's no reason not to at least test it, because we have a much better opportunity than the average person by being able to average in from a much lower spot. I wish we were getting a bit more, but you know, it is what it is. It's Monday. At least you guys get Mario for the afternoon, and then I'll be here tomorrow from 9:30 to 12 again. And if you guys hate this new schedule, you know, just let us know. The only reason I switched to this is because people let us know that they didn't like the last one, right? But if you are regretting it, then just DM us, right? Give us some feedback. I don't care. But some other people might. It doesn't bother me either way. But like the whole point was that you guys were going to also leave. But I have my doubts. Everyone was like, yeah, we can start the rest of our day. We don't have to be here and trading the full day. You know, like all this, like, let's see if that actually happens. Yeah, exactly. What do you mean also leave? Yeah, the whole point is that everyone was like, oh yeah, we're gonna go touch grass when Sig leaves. We're gonna, we can trade the mornings together and then we can be done. Yeah, yeah. He's alone. I think he'll be okay. No, yeah, trading all day is not the move. We've had this talk in DMs. Take the time you do well. Trade that. F off. Same thing with pick the instrument you play well. Only trade that. Don't trade anything else. Once you find it, you find it. I think this was the biggest problem with people who were trading options before this. It's like you would be following like a usual flow, or you'd be following like 9 different like furus who were giving out random names that popped up on scanners. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know how to trade this. I don't know how it moves. I don't know how it feels. Like, if you find something that feels great, and you have a read over and over again that seems to play out, like, just trade that thing, man. Like, if you trade Apple really well, then trade Apple, and only trade Apple. Same goes for, like, SPY or the Russell or Tesla. Like, trade what actually works for you. And if there's no trade, there's no trade. This is why we journal, right? I think if you're like a trader who's going to trade a bunch of random tickers, you need to have way tighter rules to follow. Like if you're following scanner trades, for example, you need to have like a momentum scanner. And then you have to have rules about how you're going to trade a momentum play. Like, is it 10 times RVOL, right? Is it already done 1 standard deviation for the day? And do we have continuation? Okay, well, what are my rules now for this? What am I looking for? I'm looking for a pullback play, and when does it invalidate? But like you have to have way more extensive rules to play like a high momentum trending stock than you would, just like your trusted one ticker that you play and you understand how price action works on it. Because there are too many like unknown variables if you're playing something that has that kind of insane momentum. Because it probably has news, right? So now you're trading something that is a lot more volatile. And volatile doesn't mean bad, because that's where retail makes most of their money. But you need to have way more rules for that kind of play to know when to call it quits, because you don't have a solid read.
It's been 10 minutes time now at the top of the hour. Do you see the release of the New York Fed's one-year inflation expectations? The prior read was 3.36%.
All right, I'm closing here. I think we can probably get another 5 points, but we're getting a little too close to ADR, and I can always get back in if things look good. But this 62 is marked on our chart, and we're into our halfway back of this FEG here at 87s, so good enough spot for me. I'm just screenshotting this so you can see I'm flat. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone needs to go through their stuff. Figure out what works for them, what doesn't, just trade that. Be systematic, you know? There's too many, like, I feel like you guys have stared at charts enough to know that there's always a trade, right? Like, there's always going to be an next trade. And you shouldn't have FOMO anymore. And as soon as you can get over that and just, like, trade your setup and be focused solely on that, of, like, the trades that have, you know, the win rate that fits your criteria and feels good being in it, that's such an important. It's like, it's easy to backtest things and be like, oh yeah, this worked, but like, how does it feel to actually be inside that trade? How does it feel to have like 5 points of drawdown? How does it feel to have a trade that has 1 point of drawdown? You gotta backtest and then forward test and just figure out what works. That's literally it. And like, if you're not that guy who wants to do like inner rotations, right, then you just wait for the extremes on the day and then you trade that. Like, there's no reason that you can't be someone who takes 2 trades a day and is just trading the breaches back out of value high and low on the daily, right? And then watching for a directional move for a trace back up or down, or like waiting for like the initial imbalance to push right after the first hour, and then you're trading off of that directionality. Like, figure out a system that works. You know, like, it doesn't have to be insane, but if it makes you money, it makes you money. How many of you guys actually looked at the newsletter?
Time now at the top of the hour. We get the New York Fed 1-year inflation expectations. The prior read came out at 3.36%.
And what do you do with it? Do you mark the levels? What do you... Is there anything you think that we could improve on the newsletter?
inflation expectations.
I just say 1 minute till what? Oh, 1 year inflation expectations. So we have news coming out in 37 seconds. So just care. 30 seconds.
Ten seconds.
1 second.
So seeing the New York Fed expected inflation here. So 1 year ahead at the lowest level in since December. So the US December 1 year inflation expectations falling to 3% from 3.4%. A 3 year ahead is at 2.6% versus 3% in November. And the 5 year ahead inflation at 2.5%, down from 2.7% in November as well. So downward revisions across the board for the New York Fed inflation expectations.
Okay.
So in this survey, it does also outline that the New York Fed state that households are less pessimistic on credit access now.
They're definitely trying to defend this 56, 57, but I don't have a lot of faith in it until I see the Russell find a low. Oh, 56, 57, definitely holding. You need to see if we can get over the seller here though at 60s. You need to move stops up to at least break even now if you if you bet off that 56. We have no point of reference that this is going to push higher than our current seller here, the 60. So just keep that in mind. We have tech leading down here for the first time. See if it can hold the same an equal low, or if it's going to make a lower low. Right now, kind of holding the equal, but if this buyer becomes our offer instead, then I'd put it down at 30s, I think. So here's your reoffer test. You need to see like the bid step back above that the green line. Russell's still holding relatively well. So the NVIDIA news was to launch, they're launching a China-focused AI chip in Q2, according to sources. Okay. God, Twitter's the
Treasury
worst.
yields extend slide as inflation expectations fade. Fed bids for 3-month bills total $4.1 billion, and Fed bids for 6-month bills total $3.7 billion.
What's the deal with these Stanley Cups that everyone's going crazy about? Is this like the new white girl trend? Crazy. Just like a metal cup or what? Like a thermos? But with a straw? Yeah. Rory. I didn't know there was someone more out of touch than me. That's crazy. Roy, does your wife have one? Is it worth it? Like, it's just made it. I don't get it. Yeah, they put a straw in it, and it was all uphill. It's so funny. What did they call this thing? The H2O flow suite? Oh, yeah.
Nvidia announces a new graphics chip for AI personal computers.
My man's a bit behind on the news today, huh? Yes. It's just a coffee mug. It's a coffee mug. But it's metal. Just a thermos with a straw. It was a TikTok thing. Got it.
So in 10 minutes time now, at the bottom of the hour, the US is due to sell $75 billion in a 3-month bill sale. The prior high yield was 5.245%, with a prior bid to cover of 2.71. The US is also to sell $68 billion in a 6-month bill sale, with a prior high yield of 5.045% and a prior bid to cover of 3.06. Also seeing that BTC Azeri light crude loadings are to drop to 548,000 barrels per day in February.
You might be onto something, Rory. Sorry it's such a quiet morning. I really only saw that like 56 area, and then I saw the area below that we were talking about this morning, like 44s. It is what it is.
In 5 minutes' time now, at the bottom of the hour, the US is due to sell $75 billion in a 3-month bill sale, prior high yield of 5.245%, with a prior bid to cover of 2.71. The US is also due to sell $68 billion in a 6-month bill sale, with a prior high yield of 5.045% and a prior bid to cover of 3.06.
Grind in Warframe, yeah. Have you beaten Story yet? Really? Huge. That's big, man. Yikes. Ugh. You know what Sven's at? That man said he was close to where I was 4 weeks ago. Seems like he's a lot closer to where you were. Hmm. So are you ahead of him though? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, it sounds like it. Crazy. Good job. Have you been playing with Varg at all?
Shortly expecting the results for the US 3 and 6-month bill auctions, are bleeding with the 3-month high yield.
Sorry if you guys can hear birds. There's like 30 of them outside my window right now. I think there's a nest. It's like 30 minutes away from my other place. Not terrible. It's basically just like the opposite side of, so like there's the city and then there's like the edges And now I've just traveled to the opposite edge. It's where I grew up for the most part, where I'm staying. Like the same city. So I know it very well. Yeah, there's a ton of good food here, so it's just been snacking. But I have had zero interest to play a video game on this janky setup. One monitor. Mind you, it is like a huge monitor, but it's just not the move. I've got a Steam deck, but I just like don't. I'm not trying to like play a video game in bed. Like Thursday, Friday this week. Yeah, I got a Steam Deck a couple years ago, and I just don't use it.
5.235%, 5.235% with a bid to cover of 2.95, 2.95. So the year sold $79 billion in a 3-month bill sale, awarding 39.65% of bids at high. For 6-month bills, the high rate was 5.03%, 5.03%, with a bid to cover of 3.06, 3.06. The US there selling $72 billion, awarding 34.07% of bids at high.
Yeah, I watched the first episode of that and Delicious in Dungeon. Looks like it's gonna be good. Neither of them had any 3D. You'd love to see that. Other offer still sitting at the 60 on ES. Really not much to talk about, sadly. We closed at the high. I don't really think this is bearish. Like, I still think 67 can come, but I just didn't want to be in a position that like oscillated for 2 hours. Hopefully when Mario gets on, there'll be some better opportunities. It's like you had to be here right from the morning, or things just aren't great. Typical Monday stuff. You guys have any ideas of like things I can change, or things that you think would be a good tool to add, or something that would benefit you, or you think that like others that would like? Please give me ideas. Like, I personally think that you have all the tools that you need to be successful if you actually like try. But there's things that you think or would want that aren't like ridiculous. I'm more than happy to like be open to suggestions, just like with the shift of my schedule. Yeah, I think 67 probably is a solid bet. If like 56, 57 continues to hold. That's been our target. Just gotta be careful with the Russell at these lower highs. Was I talking with you guys last week about how North Korea funds their military with cryptocurrency? Was that last week? Can't remember. Yeah, they have like their hacker segment. Like all of this. Here, let me. An article just came out. That's why I was mentioning it. $600 million in crypto in 2023 alone. True. Just be a scammer. Yeah, that's what they do. And it's like a lot of like phishing attacks and stuff like that. The DPRK was responsible for almost a third of all funds stolen in crypto attacks last year. Insane. And they've stolen 3 billion since 2017. It was a big year for them. You think like the hackers themselves? Maybe, man. In the last 2 years alone, they've stole like 1.5 billion. Pretty crazy. Future finance. Holy moly. Way to truncate or hide candles so that it only see candles from the last time we were in this price range. What would be the point of that? Screenshot. I mean, sounds like you just want to use a market profile. You know, that you could just merge profiles together. What with candles? Yeah. I don't know, man. Sounds like you just want like profiles. For anyone who's in Florida, my Florida people, what's up with like the 400 police cars that got called to that fight at that mall? And then why are all like the Florida like conspiracy theorists talking about gray aliens? Can I get some insight on what's going on in Florida? Do you guys see that? It's like 400 cops. Yeah, that was aliens for sure. I'm so glad that GTA 6 is going to be taking place there. That actually looked like someone got like a 6 star, you know? Shooting each other. Everything that I saw was that they had sticks. Were there actual shots? Read, nice. Sick. Later, Ty. I'll be here tomorrow. Sorry, today was boring. It is what it is. What if? What if? That he could, like, destroy their economy or what? Like, what's the... You don't think supply and demand exists? Where are we going here with this? I mean, I don't know about sustainable, but you should at least get this push to 67s. This is Russell into ADR and previous high, so you're kind of like topped out. Hopefully you guys get more of a move. All you want to see for ES is acceptance over ADR, right? So it might take a little bit, but ideally we now see like the 60-62 now hold as supportive on any retest, and then we push out. Yeah. I closed my final position like an hour and a half ago at 61.50. But our next target was 67 for a push above. I just can't be bothered to sit here for this, even though I'm being forced to. Yeah, I think 67 is a good level. You just need to see acceptance over 67s now for anything else. Remember, 67 is important because it's the 20-day volume POC. So you need to see price be able to hold above that and kind of build in this area here for extended move out. And if we get that, then we can go probably up to, I don't know, 20 points higher into like 86 with our like some small pivots in between. But really you want to see acceptance over this 67 and then the ability to hold here, and then you know, chop, supply here, chop, push up, and then we come up into this again. But yeah, until we're like proving that we can build above 67, it's a fantastic level to take off into, especially with the Russell into ADR. Need to see that acceptance from above, or you don't think any more is going to come. Okay, well, before I leave you guys, let's do a larger time frame chart. Just levels to keep an eye on. I think I might delete everything on this chart. Yeah.
France's PM Bourne has resigned.
Just marking our structural repair low that we called from last week. And then 4. It's actually what? Okay. All right, that's probably, these would be my levels. Minor pullback. Major pullback. The way that I look at this is like if this doesn't hold and this node becomes resistance on a reoffer, then we're like more than likely going to come down to at least here. Right? So like you want on a pullback this to become supportive and then a bid steps off of that. Or on this look below, you need to then look at this node as potential resistance. And then for this is just like where a lot of buying had happened. And we saw a break from the seller and then a push out. That's like a level of interest for me for sure. Yeah. Like if we go below this, you're in a bad spot. We'll probably shift this up just to meet that. Sorry, that was probably loud. There you go. That's basically how I just do that. Not much more to it. So that's basically how I would think about it, is you just want to see acceptance here on a look above the 67, 65 area, or this is kind of the high, right? And the reason why we can think that is it's been the high, right? If we go back to that chart and I go back over to the 15-minute, this is where we've been meeting our seller, right? So we need to see a pretty large bid above and a showing of their hands, like participation wise, for buyers to like actually show interest, right, on a push above, and to look for buying at the top of this distribution that we're trading in, right? It's the top of balance. So like until we see a push above this area and like a very clear willingness to hold and bid where our selling value is, right? Until we see that shift, there's not really a reason to look higher. You're just going to get like these little micro scalps. What we're looking for is a look above, acceptance above the seller and the seller, right? Kind of building this area out, and then a willingness from buyers to buy at the high of this range. If they do that, then we can push up to this 87 level, and then we can target like this FEG above at this 96 to like 804. I'd say that this is probably your next area of like resistance here. But yeah, that'll do. I think a larger pullback, if we fail to breach here, the 65, 67 area, you're just gonna have to look for a push back down to where POC is on the day, which is where I have our short-term pivot zone. This is your pullback, right? So pullback, the most bullish pullback would be here. Just coming back down and seeing if buyers are still willing. If, for whatever reason, this 54 to 59 area doesn't show as a strong buyer demand, and do you see how I have this labeled? Where you look below and then a rebid off of this POC as supportive for a push up? That's what you need to look for. You look for the higher low on this look below, if it ever comes down. But the reason I care about this area is that if this node doesn't hold, I fully expect a retracement back down to at least VWAP, the ETH high VWAP area. It just kind of makes sense. So it's an area to keep an eye on if we lose that higher pivot, because this is just where prices was consolidating before, right? We want to see if this seller that was here previously is now supportive, and that'll be where you look for buyers again. Make sense? Okay, and that's on the repaint. I just did those levels, so. But reference. Sometimes it's better to just like take a step back, right, and then reevaluate. But nothing's really changed, and that's in the sense of what I was saying from earlier. Bearings on, copy link. There you go, boys.
So in 10 minutes time now.
Yeah, have a good one, Mark.
We are expecting comments from Fed's Bostic. So that's Atlanta Fed President Bostic, who...
Yeah, so it was just a bit of...
About the 2024
this guy
economic outlook. A text is not expected. There will be a Q&A with the moderator, and there is no live stream available for this, I'm afraid. So again, the Atlanta Rotary Club is a private event. We'll be getting comments from Fed's Bostic as they come through on the wires. Again, no text expected at the bottom of the hour.
It's just a mix between higher time frame volume edges, right? Like the HVEs, of where like the auction kind of is shown kind of a high point or a low point, and we watch for reactions around those areas, and then the rest are just like the for shorter time frame, right? We measure off of this like the developing POC. These are really nice levels of interest. And then the rest are just like local pivots that we found. But yeah, I mean, it's no like rocket science. It's just finding our edges, and then kind of like as soon as you like this one's easy, right? Like buyer, flip to seller, flip to seller, flip to seller. So this buyer needs to show as supportive again. So we need to see a look above and then a hold. But for like these other areas, like this level makes a lot of sense if you look at this as the edge of this node. Just as this level makes a lot of sense if you look at it as the edge of this node. So you could even put one right here if you wanted to, where the developing POC is at 52-ish. But I'm really just for this wanted to give like larger levels. Like the more so the zones where we need to see price pivot below or above. Yeah, I think the 15-minute is pretty solid for those. I think it can get a bit messy, but yeah. I think if it gets messy, what you can do is go to a smaller time frame, like the 1 minute, for example, and then where you could mark like the low and then the high of like where these are kind of consolidating. Like these levels kind of become of interest to me, this general area. But like this is just a node, right? We're watching this node develop in real time. So like if as long as you have an understanding of like this is an edge, this is an edge. Now you need to see how price reacts around that edge until you see a push above and then a retest. You should accept that price will continue to kind of like oscillate in between. Yeah. I don't know, it's something we can go over in class, but yep. 67 was our target until we see acceptance above. Now it's just, do we hold at 59s on this retest? And if not, remember what you're looking for is either acceptance on a look in and then a pop, or acceptance below to fill this LVN and then a push down back to our DPOC and VWAP and opening range high. I think always a good rule of thumb of can we go higher is the Russell at ADR? If so, the answer is probably not. Right? Until we see acceptance above, it is what it is. So just to like a parting area where I would say a potential Russell low could come in is here in this 79 to 79.4 to 71 at the FEG low. If not, right, you have two areas of interest below. Here at VWAP, this area basically, and then down here. That's it. Below that, then you have basically just full-on seller in control for a push into opening range low, ETH low, and then ADR. Which is like not bullish at all, right? You've lost the plot. This is just continuation down. So, yeah. All right. All right. I will see you guys all tomorrow. Mario should be on in 10 minutes, 5 minutes. You guys have a good one. Sorry it was kind of dull. Didn't take a trade since we pushed into 62s, I believe. Let me look where I exited actually.
So in 5 minutes time now, at the bottom of the hour, Atlanta Fed President Bostic speaks to the Atlanta Rotary Club about this year's economic outlook. No text is expected, but there will be a Q&A with the moderator and the audience. There, however, is no live stream available for Fed Bostic's event. We'll keep you posted with the comments as they come through on the newswires.
Morning, Gav. So these were the levels I traded today. This is it. So we exited our final runner at 61.25, and we filled at our 44s, averaged in 44, 44, 44, 42, right? And then sold 48s, 51s. Then we averaged up with our runner 51s, and then sold in 56s and 61s, and that was it. So that was the day. And then we've just been chilling, waiting for price to hold 54, 56, and for a push into 67s. And that was your last target. And that was that. A BABA chart? Yeah, I can before I go. You see the chart that we were talking about from this morning, guys? Where we're just, this is the start of a potential channel up, a higher low. Alright, BABA. BABA's at gap fill, so you have to be very careful here. What time frame are you looking at for BABA? Daily? I mean, it's a really nice area where it bounced because it was just the imbalance fill back to this POC. So like, you know that a buyer is here at this low, and then you have a buyer here at this low. But now what you're waiting for, and this is really important, is you need to see basically acceptance from buy side at this node, and then a push above, and then you can look for upside like this. Right? Oops. But the problem is that you don't really have much to go off of here. This is a risk off until you see buyers push over this 72.80 area. Because this is just a gap from the gap down that happened over the weekend. So you need to see acceptance back over this previous low and the ability for price to hold here. If it can, then you can look for upside into this node here. If this holds, then you can look for upside into this gap that's above here. But like, there's not much to talk about until we see either sorry, blue. You need to push over this area because you don't know yet if sellers are just going to reload here. And as of right now, it looks like they kind of are, right? So you need to see if we can push above. And as soon as you see this area hold, then you can get continuation up.
Again, there is no text expected and there is no live stream available for this event. We'll be keeping you posted with headlines as they come through on the newswires.
For a shorter time frame, you can see that buyers were willing to kind of chop around here and hold this position before a pop up. So ideally, you'd want to see this node hold on any sort of retest. And we know that there is a buyer down here. Delete this. But yeah, I wouldn't want to see it any lower than where it's currently trading, personally. Like this is it. Right, short term you want this to hold and you want buyers to retest the highs. If this becomes resistance, then you come back down to VWAP. I don't trade the weekly, so I don't want to give you, there's way too much news on China. But I think that this is probably a good short term. I'm not like there's nothing to say here. Like you missed the opportunity if you're looking on the weekly. We had a POC below here, and this is where buyer value is. And the trade would have been to buy down here, right? So now you have to wait. There's really nothing to really say. I mean, this looks terrible on the weekly. I think short term, it could be good. If we get over that gap, there will be definitely more opportunities. But we have a seller who is very much so in control. And until you stop making lower highs and lower lows, it's a bad look for longs. I think if you're trying to short, right, we can easily take just fixed ranges of these, and we can see that sellers are loading at the lows, right? Each and every one of these profiles, we can see that it's becoming a hard resistance. So, like, we need to get over these levels. And this is why I said this level was so important, is because you can see this is a volume profile. This is where most of the volume was traded in this area. So we need to make this supportive if you want upside, or this is just going to be where sellers are positioning themselves. If you ever have doubts about like where price is going, just drag a fixed range volume profile over it. It'll let you know where people are positioned. And then it's like, okay, this is easily where we need to see acceptance above. And then we can trade back up to value high at least. So like this probably. This is more realistic. And if like this doesn't work, right, all of a sudden you have this. This is your pullback level. This is where people are positioning themselves in the short term, is here. And like if it goes lower than that, you don't have a great idea of direction. There's not much below until 70.29. So it's like, does it double bottom here or does it continue falling down? Just always remember the overall trend of who's in control right now, which is this seller. But yeah, I'd really like to see this area hold, or you're going to get a steeper pullback down into, I would say this. I'm gonna make it orange just so it's more clear. But yeah, that's it. I'll be in Discord with I'll be live for free on YouTube on Wednesday. I will be in a private YouTube channel live stream for tomorrow for everyone who's in Discord. But I will see you all tomorrow. Mario just got on, so it's perfect timing. All right. You guys have a good one. Please like and subscribe, do all the things, help us. At least like the video, please. Thanks. All right, peace.
So the Azeri BTC crude oil exports from the Kayhan port are set at 15